Guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys my election prediction. So I want to make clear my basis for my prediction as well as how we're going to be characterizing the margins. I'll be taking into account the trends of state and local elections as well as polling and my own opinions. And for the margins, if a candidate wins a state by 15 percentage points or more, that state will be considered a safe win for that candidate. A win between 15 and 5 points is considered a likely win. A win between 5 points and 1 point is considered a lean margin for the winning candidate, and a win between 1 point and 0.1% of a point is a tilt margin for the candidate that wins that state. So let's get started with the safe states. First, with Kamala Harris, we have Washington, Oregon, California, Hawaii, Colorado, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, D.C., Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, Connecticut, Vermont, New York, and Maine's 1st Congressional District. Oh yeah, Illinois as well. That's going to make up all the safe states for Kamala Harris. The only controversial one here might be Colorado. Colorado has been trending blue for the past 16 years now, and it is showing no slowing down. Before that, it was a battleground. That's why it's usually been characterized as either lean or likely the past couple cycles, but I think this cycle will see it turn safe for the Democrats. And for Donald Trump, the safe states are Utah, Wyoming, Idaho, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska at large, also Nebraska's 1st district and 3rd district. We have Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, and South Carolina. And that makes up all of Donald Trump's safe states. Most of these states will be more than 15% wins for Donald Trump. These states will go very one way for Donald Trump. And I forgot to put up Indiana there as well. That right there makes up all of the safe states for Donald Trump. So now let's start to get into the likely states. So we're going to start again with the Democrats here. We have New Mexico, Minnesota, New Hampshire, Virginia, and Nebraska's 2nd Congressional District, as well as Maine at large. There we go. So these are going to be all of the likely states for Kamala Harris this cycle. The story with New Mexico is pretty much the same as with Colorado, except the only difference is that it's a border state, and the border is a lot more of an issue this election, so I think that might make it swing a couple more points towards the Republicans. Still a pretty likely state for Kamala Harris. As well as with Minnesota, Minnesota has not voted for a Republican since the 1980s, or maybe even a little earlier than that. I just know they haven't voted for a Republican in a very long time. Virginia, it's been a battleground in the past up until I'd say around 2020, and then it really solidified for Democrats. Before that, it was going for Democrats from 2008 to 2016 by slim margins, and now we're seeing it go by bigger margins. Last time it went by, I think around 10 points, and that fits perfectly into the likely category. Same with New Hampshire. We've seen it go back and forth in the past. The last time we saw it go red was George W. Bush in 2000, so I don't think we're going to be seeing it go red this time as well. And Donald Trump is just not very popular there in general. Okay, let's characterize Donald Trump's likely states. So starting off, we have Maine's 2nd district right here, Ohio, Iowa, Alaska. Those right there, that makes up Donald Trump's likely states. So we have Alaska right here. We've seen a couple elections in Alaska that have signaled to the Democrats that, hey, maybe the state might be trending blue here in the future. I think it might be trending blue in the future, but we gotta wait a long time to really see that happen. Because right now it's still looking like it's pretty safe red, to be honest, but not as red as it used to be. In 2008, it went to McCain by over 20 points, and last time it went by around 10 points. And we also have Ohio. Ohio used to be a battleground. It's pretty much solidified for Republicans on the presidential level. Donald Trump won here by 8 points both times, even when the nation skewed a lot more to Biden in 2020. Ohio shifted barely at all. And with all of the stuff going on there right now, I just don't think they're happy with all that. So I think Ohio, we're probably going to see either the same margin of victory for Donald Trump or maybe a little bit more. In Iowa, it's kind of the same thing as Ohio. They both went to Donald Trump at around the same kind of time in 2016, and I'm really just not thinking that Kamala Harris's messaging is going to work here. So now let's get into the lean states. Starting off with Kamala Harris's lean states, we have Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, and Nevada. So, my reasoning for this, I think that Donald Trump's messaging is not going to go back to working again in 2016 like how it did then. Donald Trump's messaging in 2016 worked very well here in the Rust Belt, and his message resonated with them, and they decided to vote for him to give him a chance as something different from the Democrats, and they gave Donald Trump that chance, and they voted against him in 2020, and I just don't see them going back to that because the nation is already so divided. I just don't see them flipping back to Trump. And I think we might see some changes in the margins. I think Pennsylvania is going to be pretty much around the same. Michigan, I think, might be pretty much around the same. Wisconsin, it was a tilt margin of victory for Biden last time, but I think Tim Walz actually might have an effect here in Wisconsin. And let's characterize Donald Trump's lean states. So, for Trump's lean states, we have Florida and Texas. Texas has been historically red. Florida has been historically a toss-up. And Florida is getting a lot more red, and Texas is getting a lot more blue. And both are going opposite directions very fast. And I think we're seeing them align here. I think we might see Donald Trump win in both of these states by around maybe like 4 points or something like that. That sounds pretty similar to a little bit more than how Donald Trump won Florida last time. And that's a little bit less than he won it in Texas last time as well. So I just think based on all the demographic changes in the states, more minorities moving in to the Sun Belt, I think we're going to be seeing Texas getting a lot more blue, and Cuban Americans tend to vote red. So I think we're gonna see Florida get maybe a little bit more red this cycle, or stay the same at best case scenario for Democrats. There are 2 states left. These are the most battleground. They are toss-ups, and these states are going to be North Carolina and Georgia, both going for Donald Trump by tilt margins less than 1%. So, North Carolina, the polling is looking really good right now for Kamala Harris, but I think that North Carolina has already voted twice for Donald Trump. I don't see it flipping at this point. The polling is very, very slim margins for Kamala Harris, and both last cycle and the cycle before, the polls have had Hillary Clinton up in North Carolina and had Joe Biden up in North Carolina, and neither of them have won it, and it just doesn't add up to me in North Carolina. And in Georgia, I think the reason why Biden won it in 2020 was merely a really strong effort in turning out voters, and I'm not sure that's something that Kamala Harris is going to be able to replicate. So, yeah, this is my 2024 election prediction right here. It ends up with Kamala Harris having 287 electoral votes and Donald Trump having 251 electoral votes. It is a pretty close election by our standards, not the closest, but still definitely a close election. So yeah, that's going to do it, guys. Thanks for watching.